Welcome back to the deep dive. We are diving into a stack of source material today that is just exceptionally candid and insightful.
It really is.
We're focusing on a personal essay written by Caryl Young way back in September 1999, and it's this remarkable blueprint for self-coaching strategies.
And these are strategies she developed over, a whole lifetime of navigating the world with undiagnosed ADB.
That's the thing, and it's an important deep dive because we're not just pulling dry clinical advice here.
No, not at all. We are really analyzing the highly articulate and deeply personal reflection of a woman who is just clearly brilliant.
Right, someone who tried to brute force her way through life's organizational challenges for decades.
So our mission really is to extract the vital nuggets from her writing. We want to focus on how she redefined survival and how her rich creative background ultimately became her most powerful tool.
And when you look at her background, the breadth of experience is just stunning. A BA in fine arts, cultural anthropology, and romance languages.
And that's not all. She's worked as an occupational therapy assistant, an interior designer, a professional artist, a coach.
An organizer. She is clearly someone who excels in so many fields, yet her writing is just so refreshingly honest about that internal struggle.
It immediately draws you in.
It does. You feel that sense of being stuck, despite what looked like success on the outside, before she found the tools to truly change her system from the inside out.
She's an expert at synthesizing information,
Yeah.
and her writing just reflects that beauty and that complexity. The power of this essay is that it's not just a memoir of struggle.
No, it's a manual.
It's a manual for change, yeah. And it's written by someone who intimately knows the emotional cost of just constant, endless adaptation.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start where she started, which was in, perpetual survival mode.
Right.
And she uses a few stories that are so vividly detailed, they immediately communicate the sheer daily chaos she was fighting against before she was ever diagnosed.
And she captures that feeling perfectly. That daily scramble where the bizarre excuses you have to give for being late or for failing.
Are actually the bizarre truth.
Exactly.
The prime example she gives is the infamous key incident. It's only funny now looking back.
I can imagine.
Rushing to work one morning in August, trying to multitask, she managed to toss her car keys straight into an industrial dumpster along with her morning trash.
It's such a classic ADD moment. The critical detail just gets lost in the rush of everything else.
And she describes spending over an hour foraging through this refuse container looking for them.
An hour.
Yeah.
And she notes the only reason her boss believed her later was because, and this is her quote, she reeked of garbage.
That one image just says it all. The intelligent, professional person smelling of trash because of this one small mistake in the rush. It just shows the depth of her daily crisis.
But the desperation didn't stop there. And this is where her creativity becomes so interesting.
Yes. She describes her immense artistic flair being used as a desperate crutch, not as a strength.
She details these truly, she calls them insane strategies just to force herself to wake up on time.
The methods she tried were so aggressive, almost punishing. It really reflects her desperation.
Well, she admits to taking laxatives at night, which she specifically warns you not to do.
Right, and setting her air conditioner to blast freezing air on herself.
And because she understood light and design, she would target her eyes with these blinding plant lights to force herself awake.
And then there's the almost theatrical level of damage control. The story of fabricating an arm splint in a neck brace.
Right, to fake an injury.
To fake an injury purely to get herself off the proverbial hook when she was just overwhelmed by a commitment she couldn't meet.
And if we connect this back to her background in fine arts, you can really see this deep internal conflict.
How so?
Well, she has the imagination and the skill to create an intricate prop like a splint that shows high-level creative execution.
But she's using it for damage control.
Purely for damage control. Masking failure, avoiding responsibility, instead of building something productive. She felt stuck in survival mode, even while her peers saw her as successful.
Because she could always adapt and perform in a crisis.
Exactly. Her intelligence and her creativity were functioning as these very effective shields against the consequences of her undiagnosed challenges.
That just sounds exhausting. But if she was so good at adapting, so good at masking, what made her finally stop? Why not just keep forcing it?
That is the core question, and it's what leads to the big shift.
Yeah.
She realized that forcing it wasn't leading to contentment.
Right.
For years, she believed that happiness was some kind of prize she would get if she just survived, if she just did what she was supposed to do.
But that path just kept leading her back to the dumpster, metaphorically speaking.
It did. And the turning point was realizing that contentment isn't a reward for survival. It requires actively seeking what makes you happy first.
That's a massive psychological redirection. It's a huge pivot from external compliance to internal desire.
And what's so fascinating here is how her multidisciplinary background helped her analyze this. She realized her creative adaptability had been a double-edged sword.
I love this quote from her. My creativity has kept me locked into these misdirected job environments.
Yes. Her background in, say, cultural anthropology, studying human systems, probably allowed her to see that she wasn't failing. The system she was in, the environment she was trying to adapt to, was just wrong for her wiring.
Just she was spending all her energy trying to fit her, uniquely shaped brain into these square holes.
Just because she was creatively talented enough to force the fit, but only temporarily.
So the breakthrough was understanding she needed to redirect herself.
Yes, to environments where her natural talents and abilities are valued as assets, not liabilities. She realized that if she excelled at design and rapid lateral thinking, she needed a role that celebrated that.
Not one that punished her for being disorganized.
Precisely.
And this leads right to that powerful concept of giving herself permission. It sounds so simple, but it's a radical internal shift.
It is. She talks about finally granting herself permission to pursue who she genuinely is. And that's what ultimately led to enjoyment, purpose, and, sort of paradoxically, the stability she needed for financial security.
It just completely underscores that the work starts from the inside out.
Absolutely. Before building any new system, before you buy a new planner or set a new alarm, she had to dismantle this decades-old internal belief that her natural impulses were flaws.
Flaws that required punishment, like laxatives and freezing air.
Right. She had to take personal responsibility for changing that foundational belief system.
So once that internal clarity was there, when she gave herself permission, she moved on to her actionable strategies, the inside-out toolkit.
And this is where her artistic mind really starts designing solutions, transforming the basic tasks of the day through positive motivation.
The key she identified was connecting her actions to a positive emotional response.
It's all about identifying what moves her, what produces enjoyable results, rather than just relying on sheer willpower or fear. And the first step was a subtle but, profoundly powerful change in language,
She stopped saying she must force herself to get up,
which carries all the negativity and struggle of her past.
and she started asking instead, how will I entice myself to get out of bed? That shift from force to entice is it's foundational.
It's so much more than wordplay. It's a neurological reframing. Forcing herself meant she was operating against her own nature, which triggers resistance.
But enticement?
Enticement is inherently about pleasure and positive anticipation. She emphasizes this very powerful neurological link between words and actions. If the word is negative, the action feels like a punishment.
If the word is inviting, the action becomes a reward.
Exactly. And this is where she applied her background as an artist and a designer. Her professional understanding of how environments impact emotion, she applied that to daily self-management.
She called it neurosensory integration, which sounds like a bit of jargon, but it's actually incredibly practical and, artistic.
It sounds academic, but really it's just using the tools of design to manage the ADD brain. When she talks about neurosensory integration, she's applying her knowledge of how our senses, what we see, hear, smell, can positively influence our motivation.
It's designing an environment that triggers a reward response before the task even begins. So instead of the shock of freezing air, she uses sensory pleasure.
She built her morning ritual around elements that genuinely entice her. The interior designer in her really comes out.
You can see it. She focuses on sensory stimulation, waking up to her favorite music,
Ensuring the aroma of simmering potpourri is in the air, the fresh scent of coffee, or even cinnamon rolls baking in the oven.
She used texture, sound, and smell to create an environment that felt welcoming and rewarding, not coercive. It's designing a system that's so aesthetically pleasing that your brain wants to engage with it.
Right.
Okay, I appreciate the sensory ideas, but let's look at this a little critically. Cinnamon rolls every morning. That seems maybe a bit unsustainable, or at least unhealthy. Did she talk about avoiding motivation traps that turn into bad habits?
That's a great point, and yes, the sustainability is addressed in her broader strategy. She's clear that the ultimate goal isn't just the immediate pleasure.
Okay.
It's about building a foundation of personal successes. The sensory inputs are like the positive scaffolding. But the true stability comes from avoiding settings that offer negative feedback.
Ah, so those environments where her creativity was seen as a liability.
Exactly. So the goal isn't just a pleasant morning. It's about getting yourself into a successful state of mind so you can tackle harder challenges without constantly going back to those old destructive coping mechanisms.
It's about establishing a baseline of self-confidence through these early, easy design wins.
You got it. You can't build goals on a foundation of self-criticism. Her strategy demands honesty, a willingness to accept that if a career or a task consistently drains you, it has to be changed or abandoned.
Even if it looks successful on paper.
Even then,
Mm.
that requires taking radical personal responsibility for your environment.
And this leads directly to her strategies for maintaining that momentum in both the inside and outside worlds. The work is never really done.
No. She emphasizes learning to listen to and trust her gut, that internal voice that knows when she's pushing herself too far back into that danger zone of adaptation.
And crucially, there's the external component. She explicitly makes time to celebrate her successes, big and small, to reinforce that positive feedback loop.
And she communicates clearly to friends and family what she requires to keep on track. She doesn't let the outside world sabotage the internal structure she's so carefully built.
That communication piece is so important. She took control of the narrative. She went from being the person who had to fabricate a splint to explain a failure.
To being the person who can clearly define her boundaries and needs to ensure success.
If we connect all this back to her overall wisdom, the culmination of her journey, living and traveling in Brazil and East Africa, studying all these diverse fields, it all informs her final, powerful call to action.
It absolutely does. She notes that identifying these key motivating issues was the vital link between her turbulent past and her harmonious future. She took a highly complex life and just distilled it into a unified principle.
And her greatest challenge to other women with ADD isn't just to find creative solutions for daily hurdles.
No, it's to look deeper, to identify what makes them really happy, and then be brave enough to build their entire lives around that core truth.
That one detail really lands the weight of the journey for me. It took her over 50 years to discover these concepts.
50 years. 50 years of searching for creative solutions, only to realize the biggest solution was giving herself permission to pursue joy as a mechanism for stability.
The real challenge she passes on, the torch she's aiming for us to grab, isn't about finding another planner.
It's not about another external coping mechanism. It's about identifying and giving yourself permission to pursue the source of internal enjoyment that ultimately stabilizes your professional world. That connection between joy and true, lasting stability is the ultimate takeaway.
What a deep dive. We've gone from the messy reality of throwing keys into a dumpster to designing a morning ritual based on neurosensory integration. Caryl Young's essay is just a testament to the power of self-analysis.
And the beautiful potential of the highly creative mind when it finally stops apologizing for its own wiring. Her wisdom demands a radical level of self-honesty about where your true joy actually lives.
And the willingness to discard systems that are culturally endorsed, but for you personally, toxic.
That's the core of it.
So here is our final challenge for you, based on Carol's wisdom. You may not be able to quit your current money job tomorrow, but what part of your dream job, that thing that makes you really happy and activates your true assets, what part of that can you incorporate into your daily routine or your current professional environment today?
Start small, but start from the inside out.